Here's a common question that we hear a lot. How much can I safely withdraw from my retirement savings after I retire? Well, the answer depends on several factors such as when you retire, how long you're going to live, and if you want a good chance of your funds lasting until you pass away. But studies have been conducted over the years, and they've concluded a 4% rate of withdrawal is generally recommended. In fact, 4% has kind of become a prudent rule of thumb when considering your withdrawal rate. Now, a few years ago, an updated study was completed that revealed some important information about that 4% rule, and I want to share that with you. If you retire at age 70 or later, the 4% rule of withdrawals will probably work pretty well. In the study, there were no instances of running out of money during your lifetime withdrawing 4% from a portfolio that was invested 25% in stocks, 25% in bonds for a 20 or 25-year period. Looking at a portfolio that was invested 50% in stocks and 50% in bonds, again, there were no failures for 20-year retirements, and there was only a 2% failure rate for those people with a 25-year retirement period. So the 4-year rule appears to be safe if you're retiring at age 70 or later, since a portfolio with a 25-year retirement goal would have a very high odd of lasting until age 95 or perhaps even beyond. Let's now talk about retiring at age 65. In the study, for all 30-year retirement periods, the 4% rule failed only 4% of the time for a portfolio that's 75% in stock and 25% in bonds, and failed only 8% of the time for a portfolio that was 50-50, half stock and half bonds. So you could use that 4% rule if you retire at age 65, but I think you should be ready to make adjustments under certain circumstances, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. Let's now talk about retiring before age 65. In the study, for 35-year retirements, the 4% withdrawal rule failed 8% of the time for a portfolio that's 75% stock, 25% bonds, and it failed 15% of the time for one of those 50-50 half stock, half bond portfolios. Now for me, these failure rates are just too high to give a good peace of mind for someone who's going to retire well before age 65. That's why 35 years is probably just too long to be withdrawing principal from your retirement accounts, because way too much can go wrong during such a long period of time. Now, if you're going to retire before age 65, rather than doing the 4% withdrawal rule, consider living on just the interest and the dividends of your portfolio, which is balanced between stocks and bonds, at least until you get to age 65. And age 70 would really be even better. A strategy like that would probably result in withdrawals of somewhere around 3% of your portfolio. If retiring well before 65, you might also want to consider working part-time if you think you'll need additional income to meet your living expenses above the dividends and interest. The updated 4% withdrawal study also showed that the 4% rule failed when there was high inflation and or poor stock market returns early in someone's retirement period. Those Monday morning quarterbacks would tell you you shouldn't retire before the market crashes or before there's high inflation. Poor humor aside, more practical advice would be to make a mid-course adjustment if you experience high inflation or poor investment returns during your retirement years. You could cut back on your principal withdrawals if that happens, which buys time to let your portfolio recover. You could also consider living on just the interest and dividends for a while. This can mean watching your living expenses or finding some other sources of income, such as working. And while that might not be an ideal choice, I figure those choices beat running out of money in your 80s and 90s. Now, on the other hand, if you experience a favorable investment environment during, say, the first 5 or 10 years of retirement, you could reset your withdrawal amount to 4% of your larger portfolio at that point, if that would give you a higher withdrawal amount than rigidly sticking with that original fixed 4% withdrawal plan. At the end of the day, it's entirely appropriate to make mid-course adjustments to your withdrawal strategy to reflect your ongoing investment and inflation experiences, whether they be good or bad. This has been John Williams with Ironwood Wealth Management and the Smart Financial Future blog site. Don't hesitate to let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time.